You are watching the Dangerous News Network, news, sports, and politics, where the content is uncut, uncensored, and unbelievable. And this is your host, Daniel McFarland. And tonight's topic is going to be about the Detroit Pistons. Game 9 of 82 of the 2013-2014 NBA season. And this was a disaster for the Detroit Pistons. Absolute disaster. I mean, unmitigated disaster. I have never seen a team this bad. Yes, the Detroit Pistons, they had a disastrous game. And this was not an all-world team that they got pureed by. The score was 114-99. This tells me a lot about the Detroit Pistons. Scoring is not a problem, even though three-point shooting, yes, that's a big problem. But worse is their defense. The Detroit Pistons, they can't guard a fucking folding chair right now, let alone an elite offense. But the Lakers are hardly that great, even with Kobe and Steve Nash. But the Detroit Pistons better count their fucking blessings that the Los Angeles Lakers didn't have Kobe and Nash, or else they would have gotten pureed even a lot worse than they did before. The Lakers, they had the capacity to score 130 on the Detroit Pistons if Kobe and Nash were healthy. The Detroit Pistons, they can't guard a fucking rail. They can't guard a fucking folding chair right now. Now let's look at Brandon Jennings. He had 23 points and 14 assists. He took 22 shots. Brandon Jennings, yes, he was inefficient. And yes, most of his scoring came in garbage time. But his assist numbers, yes, some of it was deceptive, but look at his assist-to-turnover ratio. 14 assists, 3 turnovers, that's damn near a 3-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. That's not bad. That was pretty efficient. The anti-Brandon Jennings fans, they don't have a case, especially if they're pining for Brandon Knight back. Because I can tell you, Brandon Knight, his handles suck. You see how bad Brandon Knight was last year? Do Pistons fans forget how bad Brandon Knight was? Brandon Jennings is hardly a problem with the Detroit Pistons. The problem is that the Detroit Pistons can't shoot. The problem is the Detroit Pistons have no proven shooters. And the ones that are proven either are washed up or can't or could never shoot worth a shit. That's the problem with the Detroit Pistons. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, KCP, he's unproven. He's not ready for a starting shooting guard yet. Now, he will get there, I think, but he's not ready. We absolutely need a starting shooting guard. And that's what I would have gone all in for, a starting shooting guard. Josh Smith, he didn't do bad. Matter of fact, he's more effective and he's possibly more efficient once he moves to power forward than Greg Monroe himself. Greg Monroe, he wasn't very efficient, and he was part of the reason why Jordan Hill had a career game. 27 points and 17 rebounds. You see, He's a backup. He's a backup big man on a real team. But Greg Monroe sure made him look good. Made him look like a fucking future Hall of Fame player. He looked like the Dwight Howard. But Andre Drummond, he's laxed. He's laxed, underperforming. Greg Monroe, he sucks on defense. Andre Drummond, though, he underperforms badly. His stats are empty. Now, because he does have the gift, because he's goddamn gifted, guess what? Andre Drummond, he actually could average a double-double based off of his gifts. But Andre Drummond, he's got a hell of a lot of work to do if he wants to be anything more than an empty stat guy. Now, I don't hold that much hope. Now, Pistons fans held out a lot of hope for Andre Drummond. But I would split drum roll. That's the answer for the Detroit Pistons. It was the answer this summer. Joe Dumars missed the boat again. He couldn't afford to miss the boat this year, but looks like he did. And let's look at that bench. The bench sucks, except for Rodney Stuckey, who could be palatable as a sixth man. But Rodney Stuckey, he can't shoot. Kyle Singler, he's a 10-minute guy. He's not useful for anything except for the occasional three-point shot. And he's not exactly a sharp shooter. And neither is Jonas Jerebko. Both of them are limited minutes guys. They're fringe NBA players on a real team. I don't think they cracked the rotation. Luigi Datome, now it's easy to see why he hasn't gotten a lot of playing time so far. He hasn't proven himself yet. So, guess what? The wings are a big problem. Joe Dumars, he missed the boat. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is inexperienced. Luigi Datome is unproven. Kyle Singler is a 10-minute guy, not anybody's answer. Stuckey isn't a three-point shooter. He's more of a tweener. He's more of a tweener guard than a real shooting guard. Chauncey Billups, too old, too decrepit to be of any consequence anymore. Now, he's good for about 15 minutes, but that's it. And Jonas Jerebko, he's too limited to be anything more than what he is right now. So, yes, it's a problem. That's where we need to upgrade. And here's my trade idea for an upgrade. I would take Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon and Brian Anderson for Greg Monroe, Rodney Stuckey, and Charlie Villanueva. Yes, Eric Gordon. Now he may not have had the healthiest history, but at least when healthy, he can shoot the three. He can score in bunches. Brandon Jennings will have someone outside of Josh Smith. Brandon Jennings and Josh Smith, they know they ain't got nobody. They know drum roll are a misfit in the front court. They know that they don't fit together. Greg Monroe is the most inefficient big man in the league. And Andre Drummond, he's limited on offense and he's underperformed. But Joe Dumars is not going to touch Andre Drummond. So Greg Monroe, he's the guy that's going to be traded. He's the guy that's going to be traded. But another trade idea, get Courtney Lee and Rajon Rondo together and use Greg Monroe, and that would mean sacrificing Brandon Jennings. We can always do better at point guard. Sacrifice Brandon Jennings, sacrifice Greg Monroe, and vanquish the expiring of Charlie Villanueva and Rodney Stuckey. And I will replace that with Courtney Lee and Rajon Rondo. Rajon Rondo, now he's a borderline superstar point guard, even without a three-point shot. And Courtney Lee can shoot. Now, the problem is we don't have a small forward. That would be the problem. Josh Smith's a power forward. And he could do just as good as Greg Monroe in the post. I have no doubt about it. But he's better on defense. He's better on defense than Greg Monroe will ever be. Yes. He's a lot more athletic. He's better on defense. And he's just as good of a scorer. And he can play point forward too. Just like Greg Monroe. Well, a poor version. I believe in Andre Drummond, but he's going to have to put in the work. I expect more out of Andre Drummond. I expect a lot more from Andre Drummond. But let's look at the front office. Joe Dumars, he's got to go. No way around it. He's got to go. And Maurice Cheeks is not the answer. However, having said that, Maurice Cheeks is not the sole problem. Joe Dumars gave Maurice Cheeks a shitty roster. And that roster's just as shitty as the one that Joe Dumars gave Lawrence Frank. And yes, Lawrence Frank, he sucked as a coach. But he wasn't given anything. Maurice Cheeks wasn't given anything either. But he's not the answer. He's no more of an answer than Lawrence Frank. And the Detroit Pistons, they are no better than they were last year. I really think there's a chance that the Detroit Pistons keep their pick. I think they're just bad enough to keep their pick. That's what I think, barring a trade. Hopefully, now, I'm not holding out any hope that Orlando's going to give up Aaron Aflalo. No. I think they value Aaron Aflalo like a Hall of Famer. But the best hope is Eric Gordon and sacrificing Greg Monroe. If we want an upgraded shooting guard. And we need an upgraded shooting guard. We need a shooter. We need two shooters. One at shooting guard, one at small forward. And yes, we don't need a point guard as long as Brandon Jennings keeps up the good work in assists. Remember, he's got nothing to work with, and he's putting up 14 assists. And he's put up 14 assists with only Josh Smith to work with. Greg Monroe and Andre Drummond. Greg Monroe, he's limited on defense, inefficient on offense. And Andre Drummond, with all the talent, he's dogging it. But I would tell you this. Here's what we could have had. We could have had Michael Carter-Williams at point guard, though. And we could have still drafted Kentavious Caldwell-Pope by Dallas' draft pick. That was, Dallas, they were ready to give away a draft pick for the right price. And the right price could have been a future first round pick, or give up 2 second rounders. Dallas wanted to trade down, but I would have waived Rodney Stuckey. I would have amnesty Charlie Villanueva. And I would have gone after Andre Iguodala or Corey Brewer. And I would have gone after Josh Smith for power forward and sell high on Greg Monroe. We could have gotten Trevor Ariza in the future first round pick, or Martell Webster. No, not Martell Webster. Wesley Matthews. For Wesley Matthews in the first rounder. You really think you could have? And we could have vanquished Knight, and we could have vanquished Knight and vanquished Greg Monroe. Trevor Ariza is a good sixth man. He could win Sixth Man of the Year with the Detroit Pistons. And O.J. Mayo, he was the better choice. I think we could have afforded a Moneyball deal involving O.J. Mayo, Corey Brewer, and Josh Smith. Joe Dumars, he missed the boat again. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, backup shooting guard. Chauncey Billups. Yes, I guess he could come, but we would have had to hope that Peyton Sievers is ready for 10 minutes. Because Chauncey Billups, he's not going to hold up. And yes, Corey Brewer, Trevor Ariza at small forward, Luigi Dotome being the situational guy. Yes, he would have to prove himself. Luigi Dotome, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, they earn every minute they get. But what will we do with the backup center? Well, I know that Kwame Brown, he sucks. But we could have gotten a backup center. We could have gotten a good backup center if we were willing to trade up. And yes, I would have kept Jason Maxill before keeping Will Bynum. Joe Dumars, he really missed the boat, and he needs to be fired. Yes, he did win the championship, but a lot of that was luck. He wasn't really that great. We know his inability to evaluate talent is a reason why the Detroit Pistons continue to be an imitation team. And the reason why we're in for another humiliating season. But here's the moves that I would make. I would either go after Rondo. We could always upgrade at point guard, even though that's not the priority. We need a shooting guard. We need a small forward. Trevor Ariza, I would go after Trevor Ariza. But I would also go after Nicholas Batum. But the problem is now, if we can have a team by the end of the year, we wouldn't be making the playoffs this year. But if we can show that we have a team, I'm guessing that Rondo, Josh Smith, and Carmelo will make a good team. We see Carmelo Anthony, he's carrying New York. I don't think Carmelo's a ball hog at all. He's carrying that shitty team. We play the New York Knicks tomorrow night. He's carrying that shitty team himself. They ain't got no starters outside of Carmelo. Now that Tyson Chandler is down for a while. Amari Stoudemire is washed up. And Andrea Bargnani, yeah, he sucks a big one. He sucks a big one too. He sucks. But the Detroit Pistons, they're just as bad as the Knicks. They're just as bad too. Both teams are going to be out of the playoffs, yes. The Detroit Pistons, they're going to miss another playoffs. But we could have cap space. Now, if we could get Rondo, I say go for it. But we need a shooting guard. We need a small forward. And we need a backup center as well. Andre Drummond, he can't play 40 minutes. He can't play 40 minutes. And Josh Harrelson, let's face it, he's not NBA material, or else he would have played. If he was NBA material, he would have played. He's a third-string center at best. But the truth is, we need some upgrades. We need some major league upgrades. And that's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. Brandon Jennings is not the problem. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, he's not ready. Josh Smith is not a small forward. Greg Monroe is not a fit. And Andre Drummond, he just needs to perform to his potential. He just needs to perform. I ain't giving Andre Drummond a pass. Jordan Hughes looks like a Hall of Famer. Yes, Greg Monroe, he sucks on defense. He's a misfit. But this is all I got to say. Embarrassing. Trades need to be made, and Joe Dumars' job needs to be on the fucking line after this embarrassment. This is the Dangerous News Network. I am Daniel McFarland, and I approve this message.